Ever wanted to put yourself or one of your characters in a video game? Donate to the Terrain of Magical Expertise Kickstarter, and you could be a background character or even a fully animated enemy in this brand new RPG adventure. Click the link in the description below or at the end of the video.
Blow your mind on this Kirblog, cause Chris Bevins is my guest. That's what you get when you don't give me a song to work with, and I have 5 seconds of time to improv something.
I'd rather you do that. That was way better.
You're welcome. Well, I already did the opening when I did a Beck Kirblog like ages ago, so I just picked another one. Anyway, hi everybody. Welcome to the last installment of Voiceoctover 2017, where I interview various voiceover veterans of the voiceover worlds. I forgot how the intro went. Fuck it, whatever. My last day guest is someone who actually I've been wanting to have on one of these for a while, and finally this was the right time, the right day, the right dimension. You know him. God, what would they know you best for? I know him best for directing two of my favorite anime of all time, Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, Speedgrapher. He's also done a plethora of shows. Gangster, Spiral, Gangsta. Excuse me, sorry.
With a period.
Yes, Spiral way back in the day.
Oh my God,
Burst Angel.
Samurai 7. If
Samurai 7.
If you want to go all the way back, Dragon Ball GT.
Yes, Dragon Ball GT.
My very first show was Dragon Ball GT.
Just gonna get to that. And then voiceover-wise, you know him as the incredibly important, very deep, very emotional character of Mr. Satan's dog, B, in Dragon Ball.
That was my very first recurring role.
He's the best.
And you know, got hate mail from parents who saw a dog get shot on Cartoon Network.
That's your fault. You animated that sequence.
I did.
Also, Shishiwakamaru in Yu Yu Hakusho. Dhalsim in Street Fighter as of
4 and 5,
recent years.
yeah.
Yes, indeed. God, what other roles? Help me out, please.
Roles? Let's see. Most of them are in shows that I cast myself in because I'm shameless sometimes.
Such a whore. Such a whore.
9 in Terror in Resonance or Yogi in Carnival.
Did a lot of broadcast stuff.
Hanamori in Princess Jellyfish.
Yes, I need to see that. Chris Bevins.
Yay, hi.
Hi.
So many things, so many shows.
A lot of
14
things.
years of directing at FUNimation.
Jesus.
14 and a half.
Good God Almighty.
Yeah.
Come closer.
Am I far?
No, you're okay. You're
I'm
fine.
getting comfy. I'm putting my
Good.
feet up
I'm giving him my chair. He's actually the only guest I've had, this month who is actually here in my house with me.
Yay.
Which is lovely. Because he just moved here a little while ago. As of what? How many weeks ago?
6-7 weeks now. It's been beginning of September.
Bizarre. I helped him and his lovely loved one, Rachel Robinson, move in a little while ago.
You were one of the awesome people who came help us unload the truck.
Of course. Yeah, and then we got rained on. I was like, rain in California! What a concept!
We brought it with us for a minute.
So for a hot second, yeah. Whenever it pours here, I'm just like, it's snowing! Yay! So usually with these, I do often like to skip a lot of the generic stuff, but I actually don't know your origin point with this wacky world of anime and voiceover. So I actually would like to hear your backstory.
That's funny. I am, if I'm not the first, maybe the second, but I'm pretty sure I'm the first, and definitely the first in the production department at FUNimation. I was the first college intern.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And I was going to local community college in the radio TV program, and I begged FUNimation for an internship, basically to be an audio engineer, and they brought me on. And after I finished my semester of official interning, they let me stay. And engineered for about another year, a little bit over a year after that. Engineered for about, I guess, a year and a half total.
Okay.
And then they let me try out GT.
Yeah.
I had spent some time kind of trying to be the go-to guy there, trying to step up when they needed an assistant director or volunteer for those sorts of extra duties, because I was a young little go-getter back then. And they liked my gumption or whatever. And,
it was quick too, because I remember I mean, obviously I watched all the early stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I remember, so I was a huge Yu Yu Hakusho fan. I have all of the series, the original run of DVDs collected.
Still one of my favorites.
It's a great show. And I remember I would listen all the time, like even well before I ever met you, which we'll get to that too, to the commentaries that you guys did on the last like few episodes or so.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was how. It actually was good because you introduced yourself properly on that one. Because then when I was interested in Spiral just because. And thank God I knew who you were from the Yu Yu Hakusho commentaries because you didn't introduce yourself on the commentary for those. So I was just like, oh, it's the engineer guy from da-da-da. Yeah, oh, okay, yeah, I got it. But I remember that was my kind of first like learning actually about like how this stuff worked was you and Justin, and I'm trying to remember, I think it was you, Justin Pate, Justin Cook, and Nathaniel?
It could have been, yeah, it was probably, I think that was what it was the engineers...
At the time.
The Legacy Engineers commentary at the time. It could have been Evan, could have been Neil, could have been...
Oh, no, it was Evan Jones.
Yeah.
It was Evan Jones. Yeah, I remember that. That was my first kind of like knowledge of what it's like to be an engineer, a recording engineer for anime. So you did also engineer for Z as well for a little bit?
For a minute.
Okay.
A minute. Here's the story. My very first day as an engineer without someone looking over my shoulder to make sure I wasn't going to screw it up was Mike McFarlane's first day as a director without someone looking over his shoulder. It was basically like, okay, we're starting these evening sessions for the first time ever, and we're all going home. Hope everything, hope nothing breaks. So Mike and I kind of started on that side of the mic around the same time, and it was so that was really fun. It was for the longest time it was mostly just Duncan Brannon that we were recording as Bobbity.
Yes,
and a couple other, I think he had a couple other roles that would pop in here and there too, but it was mostly Bobbity right there at the beginning of the Boo Saga. And that was where that was my very first engineering was on Z there, and then it wasn't long after that I shifted over to working with Justin during the day, where I was on. We were doing Dragon Ball, and the original Dragon Ball like second season, I think it was like right in the early 30s is where we started. Is where I started, and Yu Yu right at the beginning. I came in right at episode 8 of 7 or 8 of Yu Yu Hakusho.
Right.
And got to be Justin's engineer for for about the next year.
Right after he had graduated from being the previous engineer.
Right.
It's so great. It's funny
we
how
were so
fast
small.
It was.
We
too.
were so small, and it was like I came in. I was incredibly. That was part of it too. It was incredibly lucky timing that I came along at a time right when Funimation was really starting to just get their first big expansion. It was doing more than just Dragon Ball. It was, we added Yu Yu Hakusho. They were just finishing up Blue Gender when I got there. And I want to say there was one or two other things right in that realm. I guess a couple of Lupin movies were
that's right,
back when we called them Lupin. And,
because then, right after that, it was like Spiral and Burst Angel and like all the Gonzo stuff, everything.
Fruits Basket was
yes,
really big one. In fact, I was engineer for half of Fruits Basket because I was just starting to direct at that time too.
Right. That's great. Yeah, this is, by the way, this is going back to like early 2000s of Dragon Ball was like the one and only thing that was like keeping the lights on as far as I know at Funimation, and then it was shortly after that also the big kind of shift was starting to happen within, of course, Full Metal came in, was 2003 or 4 I think, right? Somewhere around there. And that was like a really, I know that like Fruits Basket was like, I think the first show where it was like, we're just going to straight up do this dub, like fully proper, exactly. And then like FMA was like the big one that was like, whoa, okay, like we're really being taken seriously.
It was definitely a breakthrough. FMA was definitely a breakthrough series for Funimation. Showing that we were more than just the Dragon Ball company. We had people there who were passionate about the product in a way that we were going to be respectful as well.
Yeah. So. Well, especially also because I think by that time, you guys, I want to say by the time that GT was like, the time that FMA was like really starting, like I think that even GT might have been, was it close to done or like already done by that point? I think
By the time
that FMA was starting.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So Dragon Ball, all the Dragon Ball stuff was, except for maybe the movies, like they were
there
done.
might have been
really.
there's probably a couple of movies, but because I finished GT and moved into Spiral. I started Spiral right at the same time that FMA started. In fact, it was within 2 weeks of each other. Like 3 of us discovered Caitlin Glass.
Oh yeah.
I cast her in Spiral. Mike cast her in FMA, and Sabat cast her in Gunslinger Girl.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Sabat. Yeah.
I forgot that he. Oh yeah, that was another one. I just lost to the ages.
So all of us within we're like, oh hey, I found this great new voice actors. No, I found this great new voice.
No, I found it first. Yeah.
By a few days, technically, I was first.
Okay. Well, also, does it? She claims that Eric Vale walked her in, so maybe he takes the ultimate
that's true.
credit.
Yeah, I guess he got her in the door, but yeah.
Love Eric. I gotta have Eric on one of these at some point because he's a riot.
Don't do that.
Oh, he's busy making movies or some shit, whatever. So I mean, I know we can't avoid talking about a little bit of Dragon Ball stuff.
Oh yeah.
So Z was, if I'm getting my time frame correctly, Z was like kind of towards the last arc. Dragon Ball was starting back up again because by that point they were like, we're not doing Dragon Ball. Oh wait, yes we are, because we can also actually make money off this. So still, I mean, because I realized like, yeah, your engineering stuff was like that was actually pretty short before you just went to full on directing.
Yeah, my first, I can tell you, my first day was end of August, middle or end of August 2001. Wow. And we were just starting. Yeah, we were just starting into the Buu saga. We were just starting in the second season of Dragon Ball, and we were just really fine tuning how Yu Yu Hakusho was going to work. We went through a couple revisions. My understanding is I went through a couple little, kind of test episodes before I came on, before I was there, and before they kind of really settled on the cast and the direction and everything. And I was lucky enough to just be there to help record it. So.
For sure. So when you were doing like Dragon Ball, you did like half of that show. You were saying.
Gosh, where did I start? I started around, late 20s, early 30s on Dragon Ball, and I don't remember where I stopped because we started kind of things. I think
Dragon Ball also is like longer than like people remember. It was like 150 something episodes. Yeah. Well, so in that era of before GT was, because I want to talk about GT as well.
Okay.
And not in a bad way at all. I do have a soft spot. But so when you were engineering, what was like a day in the life of Chris Bevins for a while?
Oh my gosh. So I could totally not engineer anymore, by the way, because we were back on Pro Tools 4, I think, and Pro Tools up to like a version 11 or 12.
At least you didn't have to deal with the fucking toaster oven technology.
We had, oh my gosh, we had tape.
Yeah.
We had 3 1/4-inch tape. These are like, these giant, like 5x7 or so.
Still for
cassette tapes.
With Pro Tools?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Back in the day, and it was synced up. The DVRs were synced up to. I'm sorry, the DVRs. The tape decks were synced up to Pro Tools, and you'd press a button to record, and you'd hear the machine go. Rewind about 10 seconds before the line, and then slowly go forward, and then beep, 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 and you go.
Yep.
And then you hit stop, and then if your next line is 10 minutes later in the episode, we click on that line. You gotta wait for the freaking tape to fast forward all the way 10, 15 minutes.
I mean, even now, sometimes like I'm like, oh man, ADR takes time in between stuff, but like I don't even want to imagine the aggravation of that era.
Yeah, you imagine like recording like the narrator would be like you'd spend half of your session just fast forwarding because all right, you got your line at the beginning of the episode. All right, now we got to fast forward to the end of the episode. Like, all right, now you're done. All right, now next episode.
Bryce, how's the family? He's like,
yeah, exactly.
much respect to actually. Sorry, not to possibly go in a too darker direction. Bryce Armstrong, the original narrator for Dragon Ball, is he still with us? Do you know?
I have not heard otherwise.
Okay.
I know that he retired a long while back.
Yeah, he's definitely retired. Yeah.
But I've never heard any news of his passing, so I think he's still with us.
Well, either way, he was a fantastic performer who I missed the voice of very much, very dearly. I think. Oh shit!
Like I wanted him to just come read the phone book to me at home.
It just sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
But
Just the most lovely
God,
voice.
no! What the hell? Jeremy Schwartz, I think, has kind of taken up the sort of like vocal mantle that he left.
I love that man's voice.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
that man too. He is like the closest thing Funimation has to the dude, and I mean that in the most awesome, nice way.
He does have a
he
little
is
bit
the
of
dude.
actor, the dude.
The dude, Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah,
Christ
yeah,
almighty,
he's got a
Chris.
Bridges vibe for sure.
Sorry, I'm 12.
I'm not. I'm this many.
Yeah. I grew up with Dragon Ball when I was 5 years old. No, not really. I was in middle school, so sorry to date us. Nonetheless, so okay, GT. Let's talk about GT for a sec there. Okay, so I've actually learned in like very recent times from just like panels like I've put on for background noise while working that Sabat has talked about how he intentionally did not take on doing GT because he felt, I think he said something to the effect of like, if I went into it, because he knew that like people were kind of half and half about GTs, I would have probably done it very cynically and not put my full force into it.
Yeah.
And he was giving you tons of credit. I handed it off to Chris Bevins. He really like went hard on it and like did a good job and like really took care of that show and like tried to make it something good. Which is really cool because I mean, you know, I don't know what like your guys' work experience was like before that, but like from the trust you with that is super cool.
Yeah, I had not worked with Chris directly a whole lot at that point. But you know, I had the trust of Barry Watson, who was our head of production at the time, and I went in not being a hardcore, you know, without all of the baggage of having, you know, slaved away at a show for so long. And I don't say baggage in a bad way. I mean, it's like, you know, you live with something for several years. Yeah. And you know, there's a new take on it. You maybe don't want to approach that take. Yeah. And I get that. He was kind of Dragon Balled out for a little bit. And,
yeah.
You know, that's right. You know, you deserve a break. But I went in with being the new guy, just not approaching it as like, how do we make this the best, you know, follow up to Dragon Ball Z, so much as just I want to make a good show. Sure. This is a cool cartoon. This is my chance to do some fun things, and we're going to work within, of course, the rules that have been established for you know for the Dragon Ball world. You know.
Well, and on top of that too, I mean, you know, like I people often forget about this now because this was such a thing of the time, but like they skipped the first something like 20-something episodes.
It was 15 or 16. It was like right around 15 or 16, and then they kind of blended episode 1 and episode 15 or 16, whatever, 17, whatever episode that was that there was the skip. Kind of blended them together too, because they were afraid that the wackiness of the beginning would be too off-putting. Yeah. Especially since they were trying to get this on TV at the time when they did, you know. So they wanted to have that feel of that action go straight to the action arc carryover.
Well, and also plus even like before that, like putting original Dragon Ball back on TV in and of itself, that was a risk because they like after like way back in like the Ocean days when they did that first run of like 13 Dragon Ball episodes, it didn't do well. So I remember I think in some interview Gen Fukunaga was like, I don't think we're gonna do Dragon Ball, original Dragon Ball ever. And then original Dragon Ball ended up doing really well in Toonami. Yeah. But it was still a risk. So I do in hindsight get why like let's just be really safe and just go right to the baby Dr. Mew stuff.
So then and what's really funny is that of course we recorded episodes like, you know, the full version of episode 1 and 15 and everything in between at the end. Yeah. We recorded those after
the lost
episode
episodes.
64, and they really were. I mean, they were lost to me as a director because we didn't do them until the end. So it's funny because the cast by then is completely honed. And perfect. And then right around episode 15, 16, you hear them all figuring out their roles for an episode or two until they really get into it. For sure.
Well, I mean like One Piece.
Not all, but
One Piece, similar things happened. I remember like Colleen has joked about like when she hears like episode 100 whatever that you guys started on with One Piece, she's like, oh my god, we sound so different. What happened?
We got old.
Even though that wasn't like, and we'll get to One Piece too, but like that was like actually not that long of a fraction of time, but. In the grand scheme of things. But so when working on GT, like building that and like kind of making that into your own, and that was also your first like directing gig full on. So getting your bearings and like getting all these people together, like a lot of new folks that now are like mainstays at Funny, like people like Bunclay, Mr. 2 Bunclay, help.
You got me.
Really? No.
I'm old.
Barry?
You think I don't remember?
No.
I'm old.
Was it another Barry?
Oh, Barry Yandell.
Barry Yandell, thank
Yes.
you. God almighty,
Yes.
my encyclopedic knowledge is failing to me today.
That's right. He, in fact, I saw him right before we left town, and he reminded me that I was the first person to hire him. Like, really? Wow.
As just like, what was Daltucky or whatever his name was?
Yes.
Yeah,
oh my God, the creepy doll.
I
guy.
can't believe that was his first.
That was his first thing, and but he gives great creepy villain. Like
He's
one
so
of the
good.
best. He's like
So good.
whenever I need a really creepy villain, I'm like, oh, Barry's always so good
Yeah.
at that.
Bruce
yeah,
Elliott, I think, was still kind of new. when
Bruce,
that was
yeah,
happening.
I can't claim Bruce. That was case closed. That was
okay.
That was, or maybe no, it was a little before that. Justin hired him. Though.
Oh yeah,
I think
case
it
closed.
was Kitty Grade.
Jesus,
Kitty
Kitty. God,
Grade, yeah.
I'm. All these are coming back to me now. It's been so long. But yeah, so building the show and like obviously you got legacy cast with Stephanie and Eric on Goku and Trunks. Elise Bauman was Pan,
right? And and most of that main cast was set before I was.
okay.
But that was all set by the powers that be.
Sure.
So Elise and Rob
Sonny.
McCollum.
Oh yeah.
One of his
As
earliest
Goten.
roles as Goten, Teen Goten, who
was
is
early for him.
Rob's one of my favorite humans, and
He's fantastic.
one of my favorite people to work with too. Whenever I can.
Sonny as
He's been looking at the rest of my resume.
Sonny as Giru.
Sonny as Giru. That was also. I mean, obviously, who else is going to do that? He's perfect for that sort of role.
Yeah.
He's working with Sonny is one of my favorite things, especially in those early days where we're making just silly noises and stuff and silly voices.
So you're jumping into a thing that it's like, okay, you're following up our biggest property.
Right.
There's all this lore and terminology and
Right.
like consistency you have to keep with that you admit not super familiar with. So, but you weren't feeling pressure on that sense. Was there any pressure you were feeling?
No, it was pressure to do right by by the job that was given to me,
Sure.
essentially, which includes maintaining the status quo with these characters and making sure that I'm not taking anyone too radically out of character. And I'll admit, the very first time I had to direct Chris Abbott on Vegeta, I was scared.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I mean, what am I going to tell this guy? What do I know that he doesn't know about Vegeta? Except like, oh, you got a mustache now.
For 2 seconds.
Right, and...
By the way, Toriyama designed the fucking mustache, everybody. Take that home with you.
Because he was a Queen fan. I'm gonna go with that. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my headcanon. Toriyama was a big fan of Queen and Freddie.
Why not?
Freddie
Carry
Mercury.
on.
Yeah, and I was like, and he was like, as we get to our first break, and he's like, I noticed you're only being a little hesitant. Like, just tell you what, look, I may know Vegeta. I may have been, playing this character for 5 years, 4 years, however long it was at that point. I don't even know. Time, we're old. We said, but you know this show and you know what Vegeta's doing right now in this show, so guide me there. Don't be afraid to direct me. I'm like, oh, okay. And from then on, it was like, all right, let's do stuff. And,
right.
Although
when he says, I'm going to pronounce mustache as moustache, you say yes, sir.
you say, of course, you say, of course you are. You say, of course you are. Let's make sure we didn't miss any opportunities to do that.
Truly the best. So now also you mentioned before, so not avidly knowing Dragon Ball. So am I right to presume probably not big into anime necessarily either?
I was very familiar with it. I mean,
Okay.
I worked at a before I lived in Texas. I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And worked at a comic book shop there, and that comic book shop was known as being one of the very earliest. In fact, they had a separate store attached to the comic shop that was considered one of the very first standalone anime stores.
Oh, okay.
Back when it was still called Japanimation.
Oof.
It was one of the very first Japanimation stores ever in America. And I actually worked at their second location, and both locations we rented and sold whatever was available to us on VHS at the time,
legally or otherwise.
Legally. It's
Okay.
the legal stuff.
Okay.
All the U.S. Manga Corps and
yes.
early ADV films, and this was mid to late '90s. This was like '96 to '98, give or take. And I'd lived there since '90. I moved to Albuquerque in like 1990, so that had been my comic book shop. So I had been exposed to everything that they had, which some of it was not the most appropriate for all audiences back then, over fiends and what have you. there was so like all that early stuff.
Okay.
Ava and
and
Akira and the early stuff. Like that was so
the pre Pokemon Dragon Ball era stuff.
Watched a lot of Ranma when I was back in the day.
Classic.
I was well familiar with Ranma and not a huge fan of the dub because before I knew I was going to be an anime dubbing person.
I mean, a lot of the Canadian '90s ones, they're charming. I do enjoy still some of them, but I'm sure a bunch of them, much like all of our early stuff, shows their age. That said, so actually on that same note, then did you watch mostly sub stuff in that era?
I watched whatever was available, which was those were the days where you couldn't always get a full run in one sub or dub. You would just watch what showed up at the store. So I watched a lot of dub and a lot of sub, but
whatever was around.
Yeah, at least whatever was around and whatever looked interesting, and so much of it I don't even remember. I definitely remember Pat Labor.
Oh yeah,
is that how you say it? I don't even know anymore.
That's the common one I hear.
Old school.
Did you happen to see any Dragon Ball stuff like before?
I mean, I knew of it. Yeah, I was familiar with it.
It was always on everywhere.
Yeah. And in fact, right before I started working at Funimation, I was working at Sam Goody, and I think I might have even been doing both at the same time. And so I was selling the VHS tapes that I was helping
line up and make the little pictures on the box sets.
That I was helping make at the same. Yeah, doing both at the same time. So I would go and line up all the pictures, right?
Oh yeah, it's good, man. Me too. And I didn't even work for the company. I just wanted to see what the picture was. So, it's PyCon. I don't even know what that is. Cool. Okay. Well then, actually, kind of because this was a little bit of a piece of history that wasn't lost to the ages because there's info out about it now, but kind of at the turn of the 2000s or the aughts or whatever, there was One Piece in the mix for a brief time. It's no mystery now that Funimation was in line-esque to do it, and then that didn't happen. And although I found out now in later years that apparently a lot of places were kind of in line to possibly do it, that didn't happen. And then 4Kids ended up, of course, doing things. But so that was, as I've learned now, and of course you did work on it when Funimation got it for real this time.
For real, yeah.
But before that, you were going to be on that show.
I was a big champion of that show when we found out that there was a show that we might be getting. Mm-hmm. And so internally at Funimation, I was like, me, please. Me.
So did you know about it already at all?
I had heard about it, and so I found copies of it and watched it and fell in love with it very quickly. And it was one of those things that was it kind of stewed in the background for months to a year, when they were saying we might be getting a show. So it wasn't like I was like, within a week I even became a One Piece master, but I definitely watched the first season or two as a fan. As a fan who wanted to work on it, sort of.
Because I remember in one of the first cons where you and I met, where I think by that time One Piece was taken up by you guys. I remember talking to you about that because I think at the time it was people aren't supposed to know that was the thing that happened almost. But I remember you talking. You were like, "Oh yeah, no, I love this show. I'm watching 100 bajillion episodes and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. That was nice because it was good to know that it was in the hands of people who were caring."
I was young and foolish because. Honestly, it's funny. I do, and I love One Piece. I love especially the earlier seasons. But I'll admit I have not kept up with it.
Oh, sure. Well, 800 episodes.
Right. And had I known that Funimation would get and record 800 episodes in those early days, I might not have been so me, please.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's just because as the industry shifted into shorter storytelling, 12 episodes, 26 episode stories. I really kind of found my niche there, and I found the kinds of these are finite stories that I have a beginning, a middle, and an end that I can really sink my teeth into. And that kind of became more my passion was working on the shows that were different or weird or odd or
or challenging
anime for non-anime fans is what I call it. Speedgrapher, Beck,
two of my favorites,
Princess Jellyfish, Michiko and Hatchin. Terran Resonance, shows like that are just very different from the norm. That need a little extra I don't know, attention
Thoughts,
or
yeah.
thought or whatever. Those are the kinds of shows that I really became passionate about in my career, and the ones that I tend to gravitate towards as a fan too.
Well, moving as we transition out of the shonen stuff, I will definitely say you, Mike, Caitlin, Zach, and Jason Grundy, I think, were like the
Oh my gosh,
the
Grundy, yeah.
5 that like took on the like, okay, you've got 130 episodes of One Piece to go back and fix, and also we're airing these at the same time,
Right.
etc. You guys like kicked serious amounts of ass with the amount of work that you were doing at that point.
Mike McFarlane and I had we actually we were our final casting decisions.
Yeah.
He and I kind of were the two initial directors on the Funimation One Piece dub, and he and I had our top choices.
For all the Straw Hats.
For all the Straw Hats, we were basically casting. We cast all the Straw Hats at Anime Boston one
Oh,
year. We had them on a laptop and we're listening to all of our options and narrowed down our top choices to send into to Toei for approval and
of
final
which
approval.
Oda himself chose.
Oda himself, picked from our choices, and I think he did a pretty good job.
I would agree.
It was an interesting convention having to go sequester ourselves away into Mike's hotel room and listen
Sleep
to
is for the
auditions.
week, I think,
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
phrase that was being touted that weekend.
Yeah, it was, but it was fun. It was great, and I think we ended up with a very, very strong cast. And you can see they're still kicking ass all these years later.
And even the ones from the beta version ultimately went on to be different characters later on, all mixed around, kind of.
And that's the thing is, we have there's a really, really talented acting pool at Funimation, and if you're not right for one thing, you're going to be right for something else. And a show like One Piece, you're probably going to be right for about 8 things.
Yep. After I think Kent Williams is up to like 5 named characters by now.
I think I've only got 3. Oh, man, I don't even know.
Well, Shushu, Lafitte.
Shushu Lafitte, the dog cannon whose name I always forget.
Oh, Lasso.
Lasso.
Oh, were you
yes,
him
Lasso.
too?
I was
Oh,
Lasso.
okay, that's right. Always the
He's
dogs.
a dog.
Yeah. So is after B? Was it just is that the thing now? It's like Bevins is always the dog every time.
It was it kind of became a running thing. It was not always the dog, but usually the dog.
Yeah.
The joke was if it had fur on its mouth, call Chris, and if the fur, if it was an animal that made silly voices and spoke in a silly accent, you call Chris Kaysen. But if it made animal noises, you call me. It was kind of how it balanced out for several years. There was Kaysen was all the wacky, mascot animal characters,
which I love.
And I was like the dogs and the space anemones and the
Not a bad market to be in until you've cornered that, I would say. Well, and also I hope that like in 20 years from now, when One Piece gets to its big final battle arc, because I'm sure it's going to be the Straw Hats versus the Blackbeards, Lafitte will fight somebody cool. Maybe he'll fight Sanji. Maybe it'll be Sanji versus Lafitte and die horribly, and it'll be beautiful.
I hope Eric gets to kill me.
It would be unfair. So moving into the stuff that is. I mean, not that all that stuff isn't near and dear to my heart, but the things that are my absolute biggest favorites are those nice, sweet little 13 to 26 episode shows. So the first one being that I watched when I was beginning to be like, okay, I'm going to check out other anime that are not all just the ones airing on TV. And Spiral was actually one of the first ones, which I was very much liking already from even the commentary you're talking about. Like, okay, let's go with different choices for the mains to keep it very differentiated from the other shows. And then you even had like the good guys as the good guy actors as the villains in the early episodes.
And that was another show where the licensor had final say on the casting.
Okay.
And their picks were not necessarily my top picks. But all the picks I gave them were like, here are the top 3 people.
Yeah.
And a couple of their picks were not necessarily my number 1 pick, but they were definitely my top 3. Just knowing that I could happily work with them to do what we wanted to do for the show.
Sure.
And it was me probably being a little cocky as my first show that I actually cast. That was the first show I did after GT, so it's the first show I cast from the beginning, from the ground up. I did a lot of the casting along the way with GT, like with the dragons. I cast all the shadow dragons, including eventually myself as Natron. It wasn't originally the plan. When
Just so you could do a Kamehameha.
It's true. It's true. And it got to the point when really it was that I just didn't quite get what I thought I was going to get from our auditioners on that character. I'm like, well, maybe it's just because I didn't communicate what it was that I wanted to them well enough. So I'll just give my shot at it, and also I get to do a Kamehameha.
Yeah. Also,
and also that.
Side note: you created you had a very clever thought, but that has caused some complication with quote unquote Omega Shenron in that because that super form of him is still him, but Bob Carter is one star, the 1-star one,
Right.
and then Sabbath, because I remember your very clever thought of, well, if it's all 7 of the Dragon Balls together, it's Shenron's voice, so therefore it's Sabbath. And then now whenever he shows up in a video game, it's like flip a coin. I'm like, is it Bob or is it Chris? Fuck it.
How busy is Sabbath?
Yeah, or is Bob in town?
Or is Bob available? Yeah.
Is BoJack also in this video game?
Right.
Nonetheless, so Spiral, and I think shortly after that was that Burst Angel too.
Burst Angel was right after that. And, somewhere mixed into all that was Case Closed, where we were all sharing Case Closed, and I can never remember exactly when that started compared to everything else. But I'm pretty sure I was done with Spiral for sure before we did any Case Closed. No, maybe not.
Because there were a lot of episodes.
I do know we had started. I know for sure we had started Case Closed before I started Burst Angel, though.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't let Monica read for the little girl named Amy because she was already playing a little girl named Amy.
Oh, I
on Case Closed.
so massively appreciate that.
In fact, and man, what an awesome decision that was, because just about anyone else at that time probably would have strongly considered her, for the Amy role, because that was her bread and butter, was those tiny sassy voices. I'm like, let's try something different. And I was really, Joe was one of the hardest roles that I'd come across yet in my very very brief directing career at that point, but. It was definitely one of the hardest female roles I'd ever had to cast, and because she had to be that awesome toughness, but still, I mean, there was so much to that character, and it was more than just the toughness and the coolness. There was a brokenness to her as well, and there was one that Monica just blew it away. She was she was far and away the best person for that role.
And that was one of my early
building the rest of that cast around her was kind of the way that worked.
That was really a nice introduction for me because I didn't watch a lot of the ADV stuff before that, so I wasn't familiar with all of her Houston work. So I was between Spiral and she was game master in Yu Yu Hakusho, so playing her to play a little boy, and then Joe, I was like, oh wow, this Monica Rial person who I don't know is already a staple of anime. I'm like, oh wow, she's really rangeful, not knowing her bread and butter is that.
Also, she's Hello Kitty.
Yes, and now she's an excellent Bulma, super hysterical on all the new Dragon Ball stuff. So when you started doing, when you moved very quickly into directing, moving up the chain of command, then what did I guess before the era of broadcast dubs happens, which that's the last few years. What was the day in the life of Bevins at that time?
It was
late 2000s.
It was very similar. It was a lot of it is working on shows. We don't know. We never always get to work on the shows we want to. But I've always been very vocal with the powers that be about which shows I prefer. Yeah. And if there's an opportunity to do them, they know I'm going to give it my best effort because I'm so passionate about wanting this. I begged for Samurai 7. I really, really wanted. I begged for Burst Angel. I begged for Samurai 7 in those early days. And when I found out I was going to get to do both, I was incredibly excited. But then, a show like Speedgrapher came along, didn't know much about it, and I wasn't necessarily that thrilled about it until I actually sat down and watched it. I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorite shows ever. It's still one of my favorite shows ever.
I always describe Speedgrapher to people who have never heard of it at all, because a lot of people only know Gonzo for Last Exile, that kind of thing. So I'm like, it's X-Men and Cowboy Bebop and hot sweaty sex all rolled up into one show.
with as Eyes Wide Shut noir.
Very dank film noir kind of shit.
I love that show.
Also, good role for Monica.
Great role for
And
Monica's first, one of my favorite roles for Sabbath still, and I've gotten to do a lot of really cool things together over the years. And the first time I ever got to work with Chris Ayers. And,
oh yes, yeah.
Maybe even have been, if not his first, one of his very first roles at Funimation too. So,
Yeah, yep. Sweet Tengu, great character.
And, lasting friendship with all of them too. Like we're really good friends. I mean, Monica's one of my closest friends. Chris is one of my closest friends. Greg also Ayers. So getting to work with these guys on totally different weird things that we had not yet done was a joy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Speedgrapher is a show that I once in a while. Actually, I think it might, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it is all up on the Funimation streaming service.
Oh, sweet, still.
Please, if you've not checked out Speedgrapher, I plugged it, I think, like maybe last Anime April.
It's
Watch
dark. It is dark, though. Fair
it's
warning.
Fucked up.
It's dark.
Yeah, very fucked up.
I mean, hey, first Funimation C words. First Funimation F word. First Funimation
what
F-bomb.
was it?
First Funimation F-bomb was Speedgrapher.
Because Burst Angel
Anthony
has some...
Robinson as Bob in the first episode.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's amazing.
Yep.
Because Burst Angel had some shits mixed in once in a while. Yep. I think even you might have had a shit.
Yeah, shit was allowed every now and then. Just not for the TV edit, of course. But, that was allowed. But, it was one of our very first true TVMA shows.
Yep.
So, I guess Blue Gender was really, but
Blue Gender was more like that was like Aliens kind of like not quite.
Yeah, this one we probably went a little overboard with the language just because we could.
Yeah, well, you're excited.
It was a learning experience. Yeah, it was a learning experience. Like, oh fuck, shit, fuck. We can say cock.
Really? Wow. I'm sure like what because I remember
kind of got it out of my system.
I remember like Black Lagoon was a show that was like the ultimate reward like that for like the Ocean Group like Vancouver guys. Have you seen that show before? Black Lagoon?
Parts of it. Yeah, not all the way through, but it was
good.
one of those shows that I watched before I worked on Jormungand because they were very similar, and I didn't want to have too much overlap.
That was like their Speedgrapher. Yeah. Where it was like, oh my god, we get to say that word. Oh, don't look at it. We're gonna pull it out of the vault. I feel like after doing mostly kid shows, like having to also have an edited version or otherwise, or even just like teenage kind of stuff, getting a show like that. I mean, like the actors must have been over the fucking moon getting to do it.
Exactly. And even the auditions for shows like that and Beck, they had cursing in them, and it's like the earliest things, and like these people who don't normally curse in real life, even coming in like, shit, yes!
Well, even like, I remember Caitlin did something on like Hellgirl, and she played some just like absolutely disgusting mouth, and she was just like, it's therapeutic. Yeah. And also she gets what she deserves at the end, and I'm like, fair enough.
There you go.
So yeah, Speedgrapher, can't say enough good things about that show. Again, not for the faint of heart, but highly recommend it.
Yeah,
highly recommend more though, because a little more accessible. And also a show. Actually, I was just talking with. Have you met John St. John before?
Of course.
Lovely guy. We were just talking. He was in town for a little bit, and he was like, I've tried like Bebop and like this show and this show. He's like, I can't do anime. I just can't do it. And like me and Lauren Londa were both like, no, dude, seriously, there's got to be some show for you. And now I'm remembering, and I should have said it at the time, but I kind of want to say, dude, try Beck. Please.
He might actually dig Beck.
Yeah, because he's a music guy.
He's a rock and roll guy.
Tell us some things about Beck, because I do know going into that was like, how the fuck?
That was exactly how the fuck. So at the point, now Beck was another one of those ones that was in Wright's Hell. That was like, we had a pretty good idea it was coming, but it took 2 years or so from the time that I first heard about this little show called Beck to the time.
Which tell them about the little show called Beck.
Little show called Beck is again one of my favorite shows I've ever worked on still to this day. It is about a group of youth in Tokyo who form a rock band, basically a garage band, and it's kind of the rise and fall of that band. It's anime almost famous.
Yeah.
And it's got some really, really great innovative music and some brilliant storytelling techniques and some of the most vivid characters ever, and definitely just one of my favorite casts I've ever gotten to work with. That one was at that point, you say that one was stewing for a while. When it finally was starting to come around, I was about halfway through Speedgrapher.
Okay.
About halfway through Speedgrapher, or maybe partway into Speedgrapher, and we're like, okay, this is actually going to happen, and it might be your next show. And at that point, I had become friends with Dhalsim Jaffe.
Of Hellsing fame.
Director of Hellsing. And several other shows, Read or Die, and some other great early shows back then. And I'd become friends with him because he'd been a guest at A-Kon one year, and I met him because I knew he worked with some other people that I was basically I introduced myself to him because I wanted him to introduce me to Carrie Savage and Zara Little, and because I wanted them for Sam 7.
Oh, okay.
And back in the day, and Zara for Sam 7 specifically. I'm like, okay, I know you've worked with them. Can you put me in touch with them? And then over the course of that, since way back then, we had just become friends and realized we were into all the same comic books and nerdy TV shows and movies and stuff. So we would like have our Wednesday phone conversations about what comics we bought and what comics we're reading and what's good and what's not. God, this was even. Yeah, this was like right around the time Lost was starting too. So it was like, what happened on Lost last night? Oh my God, So we're like, we would just have our nerd chats. And one day, in the middle of our nerd chat, I'm like, hey, so you heard of this anime called Beck? He's like, oh wait, is that the rock band one? It's all like full of English and like there's English speaking people and Englishy stuff in there. And like, man, there's all like it's like in 2.5 languages. Like, God, yeah, I've heard of that. I pity the poor bastards who are going to have to adapt that one. Yeah, you want to come to Texas and direct that with me? Yes, I do. It was like that fast. That fast. Like I barely got the sentence out. You want to be that poor bastard? Yes, I do.
Yeah, that story also told on the commentary, which I love very much. And then I remember also, what the audition process, because of course that included needing to sing. And I think also, if I'm remembering correctly, was there something on the audition about like you had to describe like how much you rock, quote unquote? Was that something like that?
There might have been. I think there might have been like I think Dhalsim wrote up a little questionnaire. I can't even remember. There was like do you rock? Yes or no? I think it was just do you rock? Yes or no? Yes, no, other.
Yes, no, in 50 words or less. So what? Because that's so atypical, especially for anime.
Right.
Where like you can't just be like, okay, this person I think sings or whatever.
Right.
So how did that process happen?
We let everyone know what the song was going to. We had everyone sing the same song. We let everyone know what the song was going to be, and it's a song that has all sorts of very different parts to it. So we asked, said you don't have to sing all of it. Sing the part that you're comfortable with. Sing the part that you want to showcase. What you want to do, and especially whatever. And the song, of course, was "I've Got a Feeling." Was with without question, it was whether or not we were going to get to use that song. That song was the heart of the show, and that was the song that we had everybody sing, male or female.
Good choice.
And only a handful of people went for the screaming Paul section of the song. Most everyone went with the Easy John singing part of the song. But that informed our decisions, and it was a really great song to just make everyone have to sing.
Yeah. So there's an archive of like everybody at Funny like singing "I Got a Feeling."
There must be. I've got to dig it up. I've got to dig out the audition somewhere. I'm sure they're on it.
I'm guessing Justin Cook must have been one of the people that did the screamo section.
Maybe not.
I mean, because with Saku, what's his character's name? The screamo rapper guy who's the best.
Yes.
Did Spice of Life and all that. That character made me want to hear Justin do the fucking Aqua Teen Hunger Force opening theme really badly for some reason. Someday I'll just request that. I adore that show. Same thing with Speedgrapher. Once in a while I'll whip it. Actually, I might even need to. Well, no, because there's other shows of yours that I need to marathon. I might hold off on.
Yeah, you're behind, dude.
Yeah, I need to see Princess Jellyfish. I need to see Michiko Hatchin.
You're not even a good anime fan.
Especially, because Michiko Hatchin, I have less excuse.
It was on TV, you bastard.
Which
I was
damn television. Very happy about those.
I live tweeted almost every week, and you could have joined us.
No, I could have.
You're a bastard.
Actually, I don't know if you know this. The creator of the animation director, creator guy, LaShawn Thomas of Boondocks and did he? I don't think he did that for Samurai. Black Dynamite. There we go. Yeah. He adores Michiko Hatchin.
Oh, nice.
Huge fan of that show. So I'm like, well, good taste then. Okay, clearly. But yeah, Beck, 26, like massively complicated episodes. I mean, like characters speaking in different languages, songs every other episode, etc. Pulled out some folks not usually heard. Also, I remember the guy who played Leon, one of the villains. I think he was like not one of the usual guys.
No, he was not.
He was really good, and his grandpa, I think, also was not a usual guy either.
God, I don't even remember who that was anymore.
Yeah.
But no. Well, and that's the thing is in those earlier days of Funimation, and still, there's not always a lot of characters of color that are presented in an
anime.
In a non Dragon Ball Z racist sort of in a non-popo way, shall we say.
Yeah, sure.
So when there's an opportunity to cast a black actor in a black role, I leap at it.
Sure.
I leap at it. So and that's
Daniel something, I think was
Daniel Drum.
Daniel Drum.
And same with in Michiko Hatchin, which you would know if you'd watched it. Akron Watson plays the villain Satoshi, and he is just, oh my God, he is one of my two favorite villains I have ever directed in any show, along with Chris Ayers as in Sweet Tango and in Speedgrapher. It's like they are my two favorite villains. They're two very, very different kinds of villains, both very intense in very different ways.
And Bob Carter is like half. Is he half black? I think. Right?
I believe so.
Yeah, he's got a voice deeper than God, so he's always a joy to listen to. Just rumble everything.
Yeah, Akron was. I was lucky to have him when I did, because now he's been on Broadway for the past year.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was in the revival of Color Purple, and he just joined the new cast of The Play That Goes Wrong.
Nice. And Major Attaway also. He's doing
Aladdin. He was another one. He was gone before I got to work with him.
That's it is crazy too that like I was Jonathan Brooks was another guy. I remember he was there for like 5 seconds. He's like, I'm going to LA to do music, and I'm like, God, they just go in and out, little brief stints in anime once in a while.
Actors come and go. We're all hippies, we're all bohemian in
our
lifestyle.
Similarly,
the work is, I'm here now.
You're here.
I gotta call Brooks.
You jump ships. I mean, so actually, I'm curious. Of course, also, I'm sure partially to do with the fact you've been dating the lovely and talented, beautiful Rachel Robinson, who folks will know from Final Fantasy
13 as Fang. Yes.
Tons of anime stuff, tons of video games as well. She's fantastic. But also because you were continuing into the broadcast dub, era, continuing to kick, massive amounts of ass.
I actually really enjoyed the broadcast dub process, because the bosses were way happier with me when I turned things in every week. You give me 6, 8, 12 episodes, and I'm gonna take as long as I can to finish them off to my liking. But if I got no safety net, and that's got to be on the internet next week, then it's gonna be done. It's gonna be turned in. And I kind of really I enjoyed that kind of seat of your pants, no net sort of process. It was just because it was a different change of pace. After at that point 11, 12 years of directing, it was like, here's a new way of doing things, and it was very hard, very challenging, but very rewarding, because you were getting these immediate results of the episodes are done, the bosses are happy that they're done, and the fans are actually telling me that it doesn't suck right then.
Immediately, or I'm gonna kill you if you fuck up this dub or whatever.
You missed a line there. Oh crap, we did miss that. Damn it. It happens. And it's really cool, because we're actually, the simul-dub process is basically put dub directors on an actual real world American TV production schedule. It's at one episode every week.
Which is how all the Saturday, I've said this a lot, all the Saturday morning toy-driven anime, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, probably Beyblade and all that stuff up in Canada too, that's how they do it, because they don't get stuff ahead of time. Sometimes they'll be told some things ahead of time, but sometimes not even that. So, but I'm surprised, because I would think I don't have the time to spend on really finessing this crap. I don't get to do the same thing I do, but you just took the challenge on head on, more or less.
I guess so. It was just a new challenge, and there were challenges when you accelerate the schedule. It narrows your pool of actors. Especially at the beginning, we had to make sure that, if you were an out-of-town actor, you had to be able to come to Funimation every week. We just didn't have the remote capabilities that they're starting to get now.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah,
that's the thing
nice.
now.
But so it was a tricky challenge. Like, okay, here they want to do Danganronpa as a simuldub. They want to do both seasons in tandem of Danganronpa as a simuldub. Do you want this show, or do you just want the next season of Arslan? I'm like, Arslan's fun. Inman was an excellent, solid co-director with me on Arslan. I think he's got that well in hand. Let's. I mean, Danganronpa's my baby. It's one of my babies.
Yeah.
I love the original Danganronpa series, and and I know I was, it was not, there's long stories that are all out there on commentaries and stuff about how it was unable to bring in all of the original video game cast.
Shit happens.
Just because, it's business.
That was also
happens. Business and timing is what it all was.
And also, I think that was a fairer decision as opposed to sometimes when it's just like, fuck it, whatever.
Right.
So, but I mean, I know you put a lot of time and effort into that.
So, I approached the season 3s as a way to kind of make up for that.
Yeah,
and
which was very kind.
They said, okay, you want me to do two episodes a week? Then the way we do this is we bring in as much of the LA cast as we can.
Yeah.
And, hopefully we find somebody available out there to direct those episodes or those portions of those episodes for us. Because at that point we didn't have the Source Connect ability to really just direct remotely. And I was very fortunate to have Christian Lamont recommended to me by both Patrick Seitz and Dhalsim Jaffe. Both highly recommend Christian. Said, this guy's
Great
good.
Guy.
This guy's good. He does things the way we do them. You'll like it.
Great guy.
Patrick and I have very similar philosophies in how dubs and things should work and sound, and he's like, no, he's one of us.
Yeah.
So,
Christian was a joy to work with on Tales of Hysteria of the Cross. He took care of us super well on that.
He was, and that was the ones that was going on at the same time, I think, right?
Yes.
So, it was the same time as Danganronpa. So,
because Kira was in doing both at the same time.
Kira and one or two others were in there doing both. I can't remember who else. Maybe Cassandra for a minute, and
maybe
then
Bryce,
maybe. But there was a few people who were doing a little double duty on that show, and Danganronpa at the same time, and Christian just killed it, kicked ass. Did exactly what the show needed, and I think my stuff and his stuff is totally seamless. I don't think that you can tell necessarily, there shouldn't be any jarring moments between this was done in Texas, this was done in LA.
Yeah.
It's just this was all done in the show,
Well, you're reminding me too on the note about the Danganronpa season 3 cleverness, and because I want to give you some major credit because it probably is because of you. I've been very fortunate that in the last few years I've had the opportunity to direct some stuff, mostly indie games and things, some small independent animations and stuff like that, and also obviously my own stuff that I make.
Right.
And a lot of the philosophies that I kind of gathered from you and your colleagues early on from the commentaries I listened to about how the casting process would work kind of rubbed off on me. Early on I would be like, okay, I'm not going to use the same exact people as the main characters in every individual project I do. If I bring people back, I'm going to give them something very different to challenge them.
Yeah.
Even actually, Kira. The very first time I worked with her, Kira, back in our early days, mid 2000s on the internet, she was the girl in every internet production ever. But I was like, no, I'm gonna give her the femme fatale. I'm gonna give her a villain. I'm just or Christina. Early on, I was like, Christina doesn't get villains. I'm gonna give her a villain. That kind of thing. And then my own kind of equivalents to your old folks that you use and everything. Okay, I'm gonna give them different stuff every time, and then also the cleverness of these three guys all work together on this thing. Oh, there's these three characters. I could have them be together. Oh, the Team 4-Star guys, or the these guys from this comedy troupe or whatever. I was like, oh, that's perfect. I would always try to do stuff like that because all the time, you in particular would talk about that kind of thing, and I'm like, that's really cool. Why don't more people do that?
Yeah, well, it's a fine line. You want to challenge yourself. Mm-hmm. You want to challenge your actors, but you also want to get it done and turned in on time.
Yeah.
So
And also have it be good.
exactly. So so you rely on some of your regulars, some of your veterans that because we have a shorthand. You know, the people I work with the most, we have a shorthand. I don't have to direct them as much because they know what I'm looking for more so. But then I also love bringing up new talent. I love working with people I have, and even not new talent so much as just new to me.
Yeah.
Because I like, finding those boundaries and pushing people slightly over them, and letting them feel like they've accomplished something that they didn't know they can do in the booth or haven't done before in the booth. Because that's that makes it fun.
Yeah.
It's still cartoons, no matter what.
We're making cartoons.
At the end of the day, it's all still cartoons. Even when it's cutscenes in video games, it's still cartoons.
I wanna end, because we're approaching the hour mark now. I want to end with a little story real quick. So I think it was Otakon 07. It was the year, because it was the year that One Piece was like, we're saving One Piece, and I'm like, yay! So I went up to you, and this was in a time, and anybody who searches back on the archive of my DeviantArt, although please don't do that for your own sanity. I was making prints of voice actors that I wanted to meet at cons, with a bunch of their characters that they voiced from different shows all surrounding them. And I, by that point, was familiar with your directing work from commentaries and things I was watching. So I went up and I gave you a print at Otakon. And then I tore
it up,
and you tore.
And I threw it in your face and said, "Get away from me, you creepy
freak!"
Kid.
and I literally, I gave it to you with this quick conversation, and then the next person came in after me to your autograph line, and then as I was walking away, you were like, "Wait, Chris?" He's like, "Huh?" I was like, "You're Kirblog?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "I know who you are," and I'm not kidding you. In my head, I'm just like, "Shit," because at the time, because I had a reputation on the internet, and I was just like, I don't know if that's a good reputation. Oh, Jesus. And then I think I saw you another couple years later at another con, and you were like, "Hi, Chris," and I was like, what? Every single time, you were super cool to me, so personable and shit, and I was like, oh. And then finally,
that was that was the early anime on DVD.
Yes, that's
forums
right.
Days. Chris Bevins brought all of us together. We can blame Chris Bevins and his.
He's an awesome guy.
Awesome.
Still doing stuff. It's what is it? A Fandom Post now, I think is what it's called.
The Fandom Post now is his current site. And say back in those days though, it's still a very small forum, but at the time it was a very good, smart forum.
Oh yeah.
And there were some smart people hanging out there, and every one of them that I met at a convention or anywhere else was just super cool and smart.
Yeah.
And
because we were
a
educated.
Person. And then also there was you.
There was me. I wasn't smart. I would just be like, I'm noticing, I heard down the grapevine because such and such told me. Shut up, Chris. But to me, not you, Chris. Nonetheless, and then actually, so this year, speaking of Zestiria, Kira and I went to visit Texas and recorded a couple episodes. Invaded the facilities, the very nice facilities down there, funny. And
they let you in,
but I somehow
despite my protestations.
Kira worked with you on a little something, I think. I don't know if it did it come out. I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember what it is either, so
Sadly,
best not to say.
Fair enough.
It might.
Yes, but either way, then
you got to work with me on a thing that's definitely not
out yet. No, but I was in town working on Minotaur with Brittany Lauda, which that has been announced by this point. Doing more of that soon. And I was very happy to say that, yes, before Bevin's official retirement from, not anime, but at least from Funimation, I had the opportunity to do a one-episode character in a show that hopefully will be coming out soon.
It's never coming out.
Canceled.
Sorry.
Canceled.
Yeah. It is. I'm pretty sure it's the only property I've directed that has not been announced or released. Released yet. And
hopefully soon.
It's a materials thing. I know
it's a cool show. It's a cool show. Look forward to.
Lots going on with it.
But that was seriously.
All ducks are in rows.
That was a big bucket list thing for me. I was very happy to do that. We had a good time. And then already, also not to talk too much about it yet because it's very new. But
I will say though, Brittany Lauda was your daughter in that.
Wait, she was?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
No, wait, I'm wrong.
Wait, no?
No, wait, I'm wrong. She played the other little girl. Okay, never mind.
Oh, okay. Oh, still, but I know
she was in there too at the same time. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love her. She's the best.
No, Holly Franklin was your daughter.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that
cool.
spoiler, whatever
it is.
Well,
you'll piece it together eventually.
One day. Well,
but
they're going to announce it tomorrow.
that would be lovely. I'll have the trailer link for Christ's sake. But no, even as of this past week, we got to work together on something you've been doing out here.
Yeah,
Will eventually be
thrilled enough to hit the ground running when I moved to California, thanks to Stephanie Shea and Andy Welker is producer over at Mark Rouse Studios, who brought me on. Stephanie called me up about a week before I moved here. Said, "Hey, when are you moving here? Do you want a job?" I'm like, "Next weekend, yes." She's like, "Well, I heard about this thing, and I recommended you for it, so I want to give make sure I have your right info to give to this guy." I'm like, "Awesome!" And he called me up, and we talked about the project that I can't say much more about, and
hopefully soon.
It's a video game. I can say that. I can't say it's my very first video game. It's a localization. I can probably say that much. And it was a super, super, super fun challenge because it was totally different from
everything
most of the things I've done before. And a lot of stress, a lot of twisted in my director brain in ways that I haven't twisted it in either ever or in a long time.
But lots of fun.
Lots of fun. I got to work with friends like you and other friends that
Old
I know
and
in person, and people that I have known by reputation and known through through voiceover circles, and I've been looking forward to working with, and then a whole bunch of people that were brand new to me that ended up being all of them were just great. Every single person I worked with on this game was just excellent.
Gotta get you back on some anime someday. I want that.
One of these days.
Maybe.
You've got 14 years. You got plenty to catch up on.
Yeah, I do.
You'll have Bevins anime for as long as you want it,
true.
Because you need to watch more.
That's true. Well, Michiko
Hatchin.
Hatchin.
I just had 4 things come out in the past 2 weeks. Well, if you count Danganronpa as 2.
Well,
so you got 2 seasons of Danganronpa. You got Drifters, and you got Space Patrol Luluko.
Yes, actually I have seen some of that.
Oh my God! Watch all of Luluko.
Luluko
is one of my most favorite things that I got to do, and in recent years it was I got to do this past year, and I think definitely by halfway through working on it, I knew I kind of had the exit date in mind. I knew this was going to be one of my last Funimation shows. So.
What a great one to go out on, though.
With a few of my last Funimation shows, I really kind of pulled out of the stops as far as I could on casting. I'm like, this is my last show. I'm going to work with everybody that I want a chance to work with, hopefully. So between Luluko and Taboo Tattoo, which just got announced a little while ago, I got to basically, I was like, okay, I was calling in all the people that I hadn't had a chance to call in yet, like Andrew Love. I've been wanting to work with forever. He's freaking great. And on Luluko, though, it was like, okay, if I know that Sabbath has to be Inferno Cop, that's just the rule. Like, you watch this show, there's no way around it. Sabbath has to be Inferno Cop, then who gets to be Over Justice? I'm like, Bob Carter.
Yes.
I gotta get Bob Carter in one last time. He was happy to
good.
come in. It's a nice short show. It's like 13 episodes, 13 episodes, and they're 7 minutes long. So it was easy for him to come in one day and knock out the entire series. Yeah. And it was
he's hysterical. If you've not seen clips of it that have been put on Funimation's YouTube.
This is a Trigger show. Yeah. So for those of you familiar with Studio Trigger, they do some wacky shit. They're behind Kill la Kill and
Little Witch Academia. A lot of former animators from.
They left Gainax, where they'd done
Gurren
Lagann and Panty and Stocking. So they're wacky and crazy and insane. And Luluko is kind of extension of that. Really, it's a celebration of all things Trigger, including a little bit of multiversal.
Fun.
Road trip around other Trigger shows, which was a freaking blast to get to play around with, and some really offensive and some really hysterical and some really brilliant stuff in that. I cannot recommend it. If you like things that are funny, watch Space Patrol Luluko. Brittany Karbowski as Luluko is so funny,
cute,
so funny, and so cute, and the complete opposite of the last time I had her being super funny, which was Heaven's Lost Property, but still hysterical in just a totally different way.
I think the first 2 episodes are free streaming on Funimation's site, so go check it out if you want to taste. And I think the Blu-ray is out soonish, maybe out.
Justin Briner,
awesome guy.
Jamie Markey, Monica Rial, Bob Carter.
Fuck Justin. He's beautiful and handsome and wonderful and talented, and I hate him. I love him though.
Yeah.
Are you in it too?
Yes.
Who are you?
I can't say.
Oh, well. I'm excited now.
I can say.
I'm
I'm the chief.
Okay.
I'm over Justice's boss. I mean, because of course I'm the big boss. I'm the boss of the boss. I'm the director.
100%.
I'm the director. I'm the boss. I'm the big boss.
Yeah, God, that's so much. Well, I guess that's gonna wrap us up.
Yay.
And that's gonna wrap up Voiceoctober, more or less. Do you wanna? Are you just on Twitter? Is that your only real social media
I'm on Twitter.
stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I have a Facebook fan page that I always forget to do any sort of updating on.
Yeah, most people do.
And the regular Facebook's for just friends and family. So, but yeah, and I technically have an Instagram that I never use. But yeah, Twitter's usually where to find me.
At Voice of Bevins.
At Voice of Bevins, or you can find me on Untapped if you're really savvy.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to find out what beers I'm drinking.
I'll have links to Speedgrapher and Beck and Ludico and a whole bunch of stuff. A bunch of anime to recommend to you all to watch. Very much so. I've got a bunch to do to catch up on, and I will. I promise.
Do it.
You know what? Mayhaps I'll have you back on another one of these for Anime April if I do one of your other shows.
For an after. Yeah.
Yes.
See how much you've caught up on.
Oh my God. Well, and also everybody, thanks for joining us this year on Voiceoctober. We had some fantastic guests.
And also me.
Yes, and also, Well, I wanted to get Schemmel, but he just he got too busy, and, so you were my Texas representative.
Well, all right.
That's half true, actually, so thank you for filling in at the last second. Maybe next year I'll get Schemmel somehow.
See how it is.
No, I've also wanted to have you on one for a long time. This is great. We're happy to have you out here to finally capture you in La La Land.
I love it.
And to have Rachel back as well.
Yes.
She's wonderful.
Loving the weather.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in, and also, you know what? Fuck it. If you have suggestions for next year's Voiceoctober, because I'm sure I'll do some more, let me know of some guests that I haven't gotten from all corners of the North America and maybe outside of North America or otherwise that I could maybe snag as guests. If you have any particular favorite shows that Bevins has worked on that has been listed on here, let us know. Favorite episodes, characters, etc., dubs from the series.
There's so many I forget. I'll forget all the things.
Yeah, all of them.
All the things.
All of them. El Cazador Le Bruja.
Oh my God.
That was one I forgot about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the name I know because it's so fun to say.
Le Bruja.
El Caz.
Yeah.
And next Tuesday is so I have one more Did You Know voice acting video coming out, and then next Tuesday by this point will be Halloween, so I'll be probably doing a Halloween drawing stream of some kind before whatever my plan is for that day. Either way,
That's my birthday.
is it?
Yep.
You're born Halloween?
Halloween.
Holy shit! My mom is born on Halloween.
Yay!
Wow! Are you my mom?
I'm your mom.
Shit!
That explains so much.
You know, it really
does. Yeah.
I'm not taking up smoking though. Anyway, all right. Bye everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.